I'm absolutely clear that no laws were broken. They were followed at all times. I simply had something to eat while working late in the evening, as any politician would do days before an election. But if the police decide to issue me with a fixed penalty notice, I would, of course, do the right thing and step down.
Starmer's position is now under tremendous pressure like never before. Just 100 days after he took over as Prime Minister, he finds himself in the middle of a storm, facing serious challenges from both his own party and disillusioned British citizens who are beginning to lose faith in his abilities. This is an alarming moment, and the situation is becoming more and more critical. Today I will tell you about the latest events that have shaken the political arena, the resignations of key party members, and the growing public discontent that could be fatal for Starmer.
I simply had something to eat while working late in the evening, as any politician would do days before an election. But if the police decide to issue me with a fixed penalty notice, I would, of course, do the right thing and step down. We all found the rules frustrating at times, and I'm no exception to that. I had to isolate 6 times during COVID, pulling me away from my work and the things that I love. But I did it because we followed the rules.
A real storm of public discontent has broken out in the UK against Starmer, and the demands for his resignation are sounding more insistent and louder. People feel that his policies do not meet their expectations, and the decisions he makes are completely inconsistent with the promises that he generously distributed before taking office. Those who defend the interests of ordinary Britons are especially actively protesting, openly declaring that Starmer not only failed to cope with the hopes placed on him, but also betrayed them. Public discontent has reached a critical point. From noisy city squares to stormy online forums, there are calls for drastic changes in leadership. This time requires decisive action and a new approach, otherwise the future of the country will be at risk. The combination of internal party conflicts and mounting public pressure creates an explosive atmosphere that even Starmer's most loyal supporters can no longer ignore. The main complaint against him is his apparent detachment from the real problems of ordinary Britons. With a fortune of £8 million and annual family incomes exceeding £200,000, many are beginning to doubt. Does he understand what hardships ordinary citizens go through, especially in a severe crisis? People feel that their voice is not being heard, and this causes deep disappointment and anger. They expect from their leader not just words, but real understanding and support in such difficult times.
The way we do our business in Parliament is terrible. I mean, we brought ourselves terribly into disrepute.
One of the most alarming signals about the deepest problems within the Labour Party has been the growing discontent among MPs. Recently, MP Rushanara Ali attracted national attention by announcing her resignation, which caused a storm of discussion in the press. Although she did not give specific reasons for her decision, I am sure that her departure is related to Starmer's approach to governance and the political course of the party, which, in her opinion, are too far from true Labour values. Another influential Labour MP openly expressed her displeasure, strongly opposing Starmer's decision to raise taxes on schools. She anxiously warned that this would have disastrous consequences for communities across the country. Criticism of Starmer is becoming increasingly fierce, and this is not surprising at all, especially against the background of his continued acceptance of donations for political purposes. How can a leader who claims to put the interests of the working class first lead such a lifestyle? His financial isolation only strengthens the opinion of him as a representative of the elite, cut off from those who trusted him and voted for his coming to power. The situation is aggravated by the recent scandal surrounding the possible reduction of benefits for the care of the elderly. According to reports, under the Starmer government, pensioner benefits could be reduced by £300 annually, which would be a real disaster for older people living on a fixed income. How can we ignore the suffering of those who have given their lives to serve society? This decision is perceived by many as a blatant betrayal of traditional Labour values and their sacred mission to support the most vulnerable segments of the population. How can he betray those who need help so easily? The tax on schools has become an equally serious problem. Starmer's decision to raise taxes on educational institutions caused a storm of indignation not only among parents and educators, but also within his own party. MPs such as Rachel Reeves have openly condemned the move, stressing that such policies harm the very communities that Labour is supposed to protect. These decisions cost Starmer more than just losing public support.
6 years austerity, 3 years of Brexit logjam, then Johnson Trust and the Leader of the Opposition, utter failure. And this government was elected to do things differently, to make fairer choices, but most importantly to give Britain its future back. So we will fix the foundations, we'll do it with a long-term plan to grow our economy, protect working people and rebuild our...
The government's recent decision to support changes to the agricultural subsidy system has caused a storm of indignation among farmers people, who are the backbone of our economy and feed the nation. Farmers who have been the backbone of society for many years and have worked tirelessly openly oppose the government, saying that the proposed reforms could destroy their business and lead to a sharp increase in food prices, which are already hitting consumers' pockets.
There's been a YouGov poll out today that shows Labour apparently on course for a landslide bigger than 97. Are you home and dry?
My message to every single Labour Party member, every single MP, every single candidate is ignore that poll. We have to earn every vote, respect every vote, and we should always fight like with 5%.
Analysts attribute the sharp drop in Starmer's popularity to the growing disagreements that affect all aspects of his policy, from possible cuts in benefits that could leave people on the brink of survival to destructive internal conflicts in the party that threaten its unity. Each of his missteps only adds fuel to the fire, strengthening the burning desire of the public to find a new leader capable of leading the country forward with sincerity and openness. This failure in the polls is not just a political setback. This is an alarming signal of deep public outrage and growing frustration, which is becoming more tangible every day.
I'm wondering why we voted for this government. They're not doing what they said. I couldn't be more disappointed. I thought I was going to be really excited coming to this conference. I'm not excited. I feel quite flat. I feel, they've let us down, really.
The resignation of Rushanara Ali and the discontent of Rachel Reeves are not just random events, but an alarming signal of a deeper and more serious crisis. Members of Parliament begin to leave their posts en masse or openly express dissatisfaction, creating an atmosphere of panic and uncertainty that engulfs the entire party. Internal divisions within Labour, intertwined with mounting public outrage, send a powerful message that any leader simply cannot ignore. Moreover, rank-and-file members of the Labour Party are increasingly openly expressing their dissatisfaction. Local party meetings, once a bastion of support, are now turning into real arenas for criticism and protest. Some party members are discussing the need for a leadership change, creating a real threat of a potential coup. As for Starmer, the question is on the verge: will he be able to hold on to his post, or will the growing discontent eventually force him to leave? Time will tell, but one thing is for sure: time is passing fast and the tension is increasing every day. The situation is becoming more and more critical, and soon something may happen that will change everything. See you soon.